Okay. Ku Malsi, Kumina Loma, Nijashinzi Vanessa, Nihal Nanape, Putwatme, Okwao, Nunje Nahi, Anishik. So, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Vanessa Dion Fletcher. I am a Potawatomi and Lenape woman, also have mixed settler ancestry, and I'm so glad for everybody is joining us today for a Quill Conversation with myself and the amazing artist Jean Marshall. I'm going to start by thanking our institutional hosts. Our institutional hosts today are the University of Toronto, both the Jackman Humanities Institute and the Department of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning at the Ontario Institute of Studies and Education. So that's a mouthful of institutional supporters, and we're grateful for them to help bring us together. So the University of Toronto is located in Toronto, and we wish to acknowledge that this land on which the University of Toronto operates for thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So thank you to those institutional partners, and thank you to this land and to the Indigenous people who have taken care of this place so that we can all be here to live and work and gather virtually. So just introduce you all to Jean Marshall. And Jean, you're coming to us from the shores of Lake Superior. Is that correct?
That is.
Great, great. So I first met Jean many years ago. It's probably been about 10 years ago. We knew of each other through Jean's partner, who's an amazing painter. It's one of Nick's paintings behind you. Yep. And then when we met, I was saying, I think my first memory is being at a gallery somewhere in Toronto and just completely getting so excited talking about beadwork is my first memory. And from there, we've both, I don't actually know, maybe we'll start with this question. Did you learn beadwork first and then move into quill work? Yeah. So, and I don't know, I came to learn quill work probably just about 3 years ago in 2017. How long have you been doing quill work?
Okay, I gotta get the giggles out here first. I'll just let everyone know where I'm coming from first before we bite into all of this. So my name is Jean Marshall, Bojo, Wawate Kiwi Ankatok Indigo, Mayangan Dodam, Kitchenameka Sadiq and Donji, and Emki Waju Nanda. So my family comes from Big Trout Lake, up north of here. Where I am now is Fort William First Nation, so near Thunder Bay, Ontario. So we're Anishinaabe around here, and I just wanted to let you know where I'm coming from over here. And yeah, me and Vanessa have known each other for a few years now, and it's actually Quill Work, having conversations around Quill Work, which has made us connected. So thank you for inviting me to chat today. So what was the question again?
Well, I was just curious about saying that I first that I had the opportunity to learn beadwork, and then I was doing that for a few years, and then became curious about quill work and pursued learning quill work techniques and materials. I was wondering, what was your journey in learning quill work? How did it start?
So I started learning about beading when I think when I was a young child. Um, Beadwork was always around. My aunties and my gokam, they all did beadwork. The ladies in my family all bead. All my cousins, they all bead. So beading has always been around, but I mean, physically to learn how to do it, I was probably a teenager. And when I was a teenager, I wasn't really interested in it at all. It was just, my mom showed me how to do a couple stitches. She was doing edge beading, and she showed me how to do that. And I made a little leather pouch, and that was kind of it. And then it wasn't until I was in my like probably later 20s or in my 20s that I picked it up again, and it was completely different. I was in a very different place in my life, so had I guess I had lived a life that was a little bit I guess it would be the part of my life that I was learning a lot of things, and there's lots of more downs than ups. So I started beading, and beading is what really helped me to get up again. And then I just never stopped beading. But with the beadwork, that's when I started to learn about quill work. And Vanessa and I had talked a while ago, like over a few months. We chatted and had a Zoom together, and she reminded me of the first time that I saw quill work, and I still hadn't finished high school. I dropped out of high school and I went to Canmore, Alberta to work as a chambermaid, and it was the best time of my life. And I was vacuuming someone's room, and at that time I didn't know anything about like the art. You know, like now I understand why art is so important, and like being on the arts kind of scene, like I get it now. But at that point in my life, I had no idea. So it would have been like the Banff Film Festival or something huge was going on, because there was tons of people around, and there was all these filmmakers, and I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, okay. And I didn't see a lot of, I didn't see a lot of Indians around at all. And like growing up here in Thunder Bay, like we're very visible here. So I was cleaning this room, and the guy said, "Come on in, just vacuum." And I said, "Okay." And he had like these beautiful braids, and he was just sitting there doing his work. And I went to vacuum around his feet, and he was wearing the most beautiful quilled moccasins I'd ever seen in my life. So they looked like the moccasins that my aunties make, but I did like a total zoom in and was like, those are not beads. What is that? So I stopped the vacuum cleaner, and like he and I had a chat, and that was when I fell in love with quill work and started to learn about it and started to understand like the shift from natural materials to materials that were brought from somewhere else, and like just the connect that happened, and then how things completely like went in a different way. And now I see so many beaters, like I know this is Quill Conversations, but I can't help but talk about beads because there's such a huge overlap and a link there, right? But there's been a huge explosion with beadwork in the last, I'd say 10 years, even 5 years, even more so, and starting to see quill work in many different ways, and that's very exciting. And seeing people with technology like this, like people having the ability to use technology to share their skills, and Jamie Okama being one of the well, I mean, she's like a master quill worker, but she'll do videos, and it's really, really helpful for people like us who are just beginning to learn, right, to have those visuals. Yeah, I'm going off topic. Get me back.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. I love the story of seeing Quill Work on these moccasins for the first time,
Mm.
and yeah, it makes me think. I work a lot on my Quill work. Is often on paper or in two-dimensional form, and it yeah, it leans more towards the just like the aesthetic and the visual, and not so much making things that can be worn. But I always think about the connection between quill work and beadwork, and that connection to our bodies, and that for so long these material or these practices were worn on the body. They were used to adorn our bodies, and what that kind of communication is, right, when you're wearing something, and that what that experience is of viewing something when it's attached to a person, right, to a person and to a body, as opposed to being on in a frame, or in a kind of in a two-dimensional way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have a couple, do you want to, that you have a couple things to show us? I'm excited to see.
Don't get too excited. Just thinking of like what you just said, in terms of like, using quills to like adorn things and to make for somebody, and probably, it wasn't just one person making an item, it was probably a community of women working together to make something for somebody. And it wasn't necessarily political. And I think now we're like, in our lives now, art is getting to be quite radical and political, and like we can use our beadwork and our quill work to do that. And that's really different from then to now, and it's quite exciting. My sister, who's on this call, she's she'll say to me, like I'll have moments of like, oh, like, like as an artist, sometimes you, or a maker, or whatever you refer to yourself as, someone who does stuff, you have moments of insecurity, and that happens, and it's because you're trying to define yourself, and I'm terrible at that. I actually just like immerse myself in something and do it. But she says, yeah, but you Leanna, what do you say? Like, it is like the art that you do is a form of activism. I think that's how she says it. Like, just doing what you do is you being active. Is that what you say, Leanna? Can you? Oh, I don't think she's allowed to talk, or can she? But
I'm allowed to talk.
yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jean's twin sister, and it's really nice to hear her speak about her art, because usually she can be pretty shy about it. So Vanessa, thanks for inviting her to speak. But Jean just does what she does, and I think with all of the, like with how Indigenous people are communicating now through, like how we're communicating through our art, I think just Jean, by her act of just making, and she's really, like, she does quill work, she does bead work, and she smokes her own hide and makes her own moccasins from that hide. So there's a lot of things that she does around just picking up where our relatives had to put that down for a little bit, and she's picking up where it was left. And I think just by the act of picking up is a political act. It doesn't always have to be this in your face thing, I think that's a very Anishinaabe way, is just doing it, and not necessarily having to be the loudest or front and center. You know what I mean? There's like great humility in how she practices her artwork. I can go on and on, but I won't. Goodbye.
Oh, I like this. Darn.
Yeah, you do.
Um,
Miigwech, Anishik. Thank you for sharing.
well, I guess like going into the practice part of things, like, I mean, I'm 44 now. So that day when I saw that man's moccasins was over 20 over 25 years ago. So it's a long time span, and it takes time to learn things, and it also like I'm also all over the place. I've been doing this, and I got into bookbinding, printmaking, like all sorts of things, right? And now I'm like, okay, beading, hometown hide, and quill work. Those are the three things that I love to do. They work together. I need the hometown hide because that's what you need to quill on. Sewing with the beadwork, I can bead on the hometown hide. Like they work well together, but it's taken such a long time to get here. And and it's exciting for me now because I feel like I'm finally finding I have a sense of place now. And I don't know if I ever even really thought of that or even like felt that, but that's how I've been feeling lately. And I think that's what working on the hides is doing for me. It's giving me a sense of like who I am, where I'm from, where I've been before I even physically existed on this earth. Like there's just so much more things happening that are working their ways through me. And I see, like, when you get older, you kind of don't care about things anymore, but you kind of like care extremely more about things at the same time. So it's like an interesting thing, like I was saying to Vanessa, like a while ago I might have been like, no, not doing a Zoom, don't want to talk to anybody. But now it's like, of course, like we are in a time where we got to share stuff, and it's like, why not? It's super fun. Like I love doing the quill work, but I wanted to share with you guys like a little bit of my practice. I don't know who's out there who's listening today, like maybe quillers who already know how to do things, but to people who haven't quilled yet or aspiring quillers, something that I learned from Brenda Lee last year. I was a helper at the bead symposium in Toronto. Was that last year or the year before? I don't know. But she had this. It's like it's samples of quill work, but she used ribbon. And I thought this was, oftentimes I do workshops and teach things. And this is such an excellent, this I just thought was genius, because quills are so tiny and they're hard to use when you're first learning as beadwork. Like you work with, if you haven't used beads before, they're tiny, tiny, tiny. So when I work with a group of people who haven't worked with them, I'll use bigger beads. So this is the same kind of idea, but you get to practice with the ribbon and get the technique down. And then because the ribbon's so long, you don't have to think about adding your next quill. That's like the whole other process of like learning how to do quill work, right? So I made like something here. So what I like about it, there's no quill work on it, but I put the ribbon work on it and it mimics the quill work. So it's just like there's the bead work, and then I put the ribbon on the bottom. So that's like a sawtooth. It's called the sawtooth technique. It's very simple and it has like such beautiful results. So I've always thought, before I learned how to do quill work, for the longest time I never did it because I thought it was so impossible, and how could I do this? And I just didn't go near it. But I never was meeting anybody who knew how to do it. I wasn't ever meeting anyone who could show me how to do it. So I started to look for books, or if I saw quill work anywhere, which was like never. I came across this, and I don't know who the maker is. There's no name on it at all, but it's a little teeny tiny quill basket. So it has that like the quills are kind of used as staples and they're poked in there, right? This isn't quill work that I don't know how to do this. I have a lot of respect for people who get into this because I can't wrap my head around it. I like doing the sewing it down like applique stuff. But because I didn't have any teachers, I used books. So this book is very good. It's called the Quill Work Companion, and it has like really excellent, what I love about it, because I'm a visual learner, and I would have loved to have had someone teach me how to do this like one-on-one, but I didn't. So these books were really, really, really helpful. And now that I know how to do these things, I'm happy to show anyone. If anyone ever wanted to learn, I'm happy to show you, because that's what we do as artists, right? You share what you know how to do. And this one as well is a really good book. So Quill Working, Guide to Indian Quill Working by Christy Ann Hensler. I can write those in the chat after. Yeah, so since then, I have met people who do quill work and are quite skilled at it and have different things that they like to do. You know, there's a huge process to quill work. You know, like you have to come across. You don't really look for a porcupine. It just comes, right? Like it's either going to be walking in front of you, or it's going to be sadly a roadkill, right? So if you see a live one, in both scenarios, you'll put tobacco down and then you'll harvest your quills, and then you'll collect and separate the quills. And it's a huge process. It's something I think that if you do quill work and you simply buy your quills, or you work with quills, take the time to like try it at least once, because it just changes your perspective on all of it, because so much goes through. You have to do so much. It's crazy. Like here's my sister and I got these in the summertime from a little porcupine. So I think there's like approximately like 40,000 quills on a porcupine. So you have to like hand pluck them. I've heard of people using pliers, but if you use pliers, I feel like that might damage some of them. So like you just start by plucking them in one area until you kind of get a bald spot, and then it opens up, and then you just keep pulling. Some people love doing that part. They like sorting the sizes as they go. They have different containers. Us, we just put them all in one container. So then after, we have to sort through all of this, right? There's little pieces of hair, and then you have to clean them. So to clean them, the porcupine is really, really dirty. It's greasy because it doesn't bathe. It doesn't ever go in the water to swim. So it's got like grime on it. And I have purchased quills before that have grime on them. And if you're going to dye your quills, you need to make sure that that grime is off, because it will not absorb your dyes, and you'll know that. So you have to like put your quills in a jar, put some sunlight soap. I've been told sunlight is the deal. And then you shake it in the jar, and then whatever your system is, you might have a little strainer, you pour your quills out, and then do it all over again, and then do it like 3 or 4 times until you can actually feel them not grimy anymore. Then put them down on paper towel, not newspaper, because like the ink will come off, not on a towel because they'll stick all over to the quills. There's so many things with the process. Even when you dye your quills, you use like a glass pot or enamel, not like a metal. You use a wooden spoon, not a metal spoon. Yeah, there's so many little things. Some people will dye say they made like use bloodroot to dye their quills. They'll even dye their white thread in that water, so that when they do their quill work, their thread is the same color as their quills.
That is so smart.
Right? So I should actually acknowledge Carla Gibson, because she was the person who told me that. Her and Audrey D. Roy, the two of them, we did a Zoom last week, because I don't know how to do the dyeing process. So that's what we did on Zoom. They showed me how to dye quills with beets, and then the next one is going to be yellow onions. Like you save your peels from yellow onions. And Vanessa, I know you're really experienced with the dyeing, because I've seen your quills and your beautiful colors, and you're experimenting. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about that.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm, I started working, it was also Brenda who taught me how to dye them, and we had time she taught me how to dye them with synthetic dyes, and it worked great. And then from there out, I had to, like the next time I tried it myself, I was like, this doesn't always work as well. And then it was this summer, actually, it was kind of the, like the being at home a lot, gave me some time to work on the natural dyes. And I felt a kind of like nervousness about trying it and doing it wrong and like feeling like I needed somebody to show me. And yeah, but with all the time spent at home, I thought, you know, that's the worst that can happen. So I started, yeah, I started experimenting with some onion skins. I will try beets. I'm excited for that one. Um, and yeah, I have some quills from that I've dyed previously with synthetic dyes, but I think I'm gonna try and yeah, definitely keep moving towards natural dyes. They're really fun to work with, but I have found them challenging, and also like there's not a lot of information out there. There's a ton of information about natural dyeing with fabric or yarn. So they talk about like the differences like dyeing with natural dyes, whether you're using animal fibers or plant fibers, and then everything is, the definition is based off of the weight of, or the directions are based off of the weight of the fabric or the weight of the yarn. So I can't imagine that porcupine quills, which are very, 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 very light, would that would translate. So yeah, it's really been yeah, just a process of yeah, kind of saying that if yeah, that the, you know, that I guess having a little bit of confidence to just try some things and experiment. And I found a couple of quills that I have that have the gunk on them.
Oh yeah.
So you can see they're a little bit bent and they have those kind of gunky pieces. So
Yeah,
that's
my friend Audrey, she'll actually use like paper towel and like wipe them individually, and then like just to really make sure, because I mean these ladies, Audrey and Carla, they've been educating and they've been teaching about this stuff for years and years and years. So they know all the tricks. Like they just shared everything. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And like dyeing the thread, I just was like, wow, I never would have thought of that. But you know, sometimes you do see your thread when you sew things down, right? And I mean, I don't get too crazy about that kind of stuff. Like, but I mean, I know some people do. I'm learning, so I'm very forgiving on myself. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that they said that they've tried, in addition to the RIT dyes, is Jello and Kool-Aid. So those are two other things that they said work really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a girl on Instagram, Dallas Abatong. She's from Bawating, Sault Ste. Marie. And I met her, I guess, a couple years ago or last year. And she does quill work, and I see posts of her quills, and they're so vibrant. Like I'm curious of what she's using to dye them and how she does that. And there's other things I'm curious about too, and like the coloring, like you know, like with beadwork, if you leave it in the sun, certain beads are good. You're going to lose the color of them, right? Some stay and some don't. Like I wonder about that about quill work as well. Like if you use the right mordant, if you dye it properly, will it maintain its you know, vibrancy or not? You know, I don't know enough about that stuff, so those are things that I'm curious to learn more about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have made some work and used some quills that really over a very short period of time either lost its vibrancy or just really changed colors. So I think there's a lot to learn, and it's really it's fascinating. One of the reasons it's fascinating is that it's very much based off of chemistry, right? And that like the you know, if you're using the plants or things that you're using to dye aren't necessarily the colors that they appear are not necessarily what you will get. And yeah, it's a very different process than other coloring.
Yeah. I think we're gonna project together. Dyeing quills all the time.
Yeah.
I have like all the quill work I've done has been that the quills are they're just like natural. So everything I do is like super simple. It's just straight lines. I'm like I'm scared to do a curved line. Actually, I shouldn't say that because this is my first curve. So, or one of, so it's like, but all those different techniques do different things, right? So the zigzag technique is great because there is movement with it and you can be really linear, but there's techniques that allow you to do like circles and curves and things like that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
In the chat here, Leanne shared with everyone an image of your piece from Beads Sewn, the exhibition Beads They're Sewn So Tight, your piece titled Ring of Fire, which is, if people can look in the chat, you can click on that image, and it's a beautiful collection of moccasins with quill work.
Thanks. Yeah, so this would have been like me wanting to learn how to do quill work. And so I made these moccasin tops. And as I was making them, I was also thinking about things that were going on as we do. And the Ring of Fire is, well, it just made me think about everything that's happening with mining, especially up in northern communities. So this piece is sort of symbolic of a circle, like of people, and like, we need to talk this stuff through because it's not good. Like everything that's happening is not cool. And so this piece is sort of like me thinking about that, but also being really sad about it because sometimes we can feel extremely powerless when we're not a part of these conversations. And then all of a sudden you hear these things are happening, right? These things get put past us somehow. And the Ring of Fire is still in motion. It's still happening, and it's going to have a huge impact on everything. It doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't make any sense. I don't want to get too heated about that right now.
No.
But yeah, everyone should be aware of what's happening in the north.
Thanks for bringing that to us. I think it's really powerful to see these, to see that image of the, this imagined group of people standing together, because they don't, because the moccasins don't have anybody wearing them at this moment, but at least for myself, when I look at them, I definitely can imagine myself as a part of this this gathering, especially since they're so beautiful, they're so well made, that, of course, I mean, that at least for me, right, it's hard to resist like thinking about what would it be like to put them on, right? Like how soft, is the fur, and how cozy would my feet feel? And then it also, makes me think about, who were these made for? Were they made for a specific person? And what would be the, it also kind of makes me think about like what would be that responsibility of kind of stepping into that role or putting these on, or how much love and care and time went into everything that that made this work, right? For like you were talking about, from the hide to the fur to the quills, right? So we have like at least 3 different kinds of animals, right, who are brought into these that join with us.
Yeah, no, totally. And it makes me think of time before we were here on Earth, like our ancestors, you know, like they'd be horrified at what's happening. So I think of that as well, you know, like making something that is kind of like quills and hometown hide are like pre-colonial. I don't know how to say it. Like that's some Anishinaabe, that's some Anishinaabe genius right there. You know what I mean? Like that's untouched. That was us living and being who we are, and honoring the land and the water and being respectful of everything around us. And you know, that was before ownership and greed and all of these things that we've lost sight of. You know what I mean? So I kind of like to think that I hope that my work can do that. And I know I don't speak to my work very well, but I feel like a lot of beaters are a lot like that. It's like they're beaters and quillers are doing all this meditative work, and it's like it's just in there and you feel it. I know everyone out there seen beater and quill work, and you feel it. Something like speaks to you, and I don't know how else to talk about this, but that's sort of how I hope it can be felt, I guess. So with the Ring of Fire, that would have been like my attempt at like being in an art show and like calling myself an artist and like trying to talk about making something, because I don't really do that. I just do things. So that was really different to like, what is this going to be called? Let's give it a title. And then like the Ring of Fire was happening, and then I like looked at these moccasins and I was just like, we should all be talking about this. We should all be in a circle talking about all of this. Everyone should be educated about what's happening. Everyone should have this knowledge accessible to them to be able to say something about it, because it's going to have an impact on themselves or their children or their grandchildren, and so on, right? Yeah. Oh, it's so depressing suddenly.
Really important to share and talk about. Mm-hmm. And I think that the I don't know, like some people, I think about the ways that some people speak really well, right? Some people are excellent at organizing groups of people. Some people, you know, write really well, or, you know, can, you know, organize numbers. And I think that as artists, we, like you've been saying, right, we make things, and whatever's happening around us goes into it, or the things that we want to communicate, the things that we're passionate about, that we care about, is all goes through what we're making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Should we open it up for questions?
Yeah, I was just thinking this might be a nice time to see if anybody has any questions, or just wants to jump in with a response, or if there's anybody out there who doesn't make quill work, who wants to know more details, or if there's people out there who do make quill work and want to share something about what they've made.
Come on, Linda.
All right. Okay, so over the summer I acquired some quills and I've done the cleaning and the sorting. When am I ready? When am I ready to do something with them?
Well, you clean them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're ready.
I don't know, but like when do I know I'm ready?
Well, I guess. Well, that's a funny question. I mean, your materials are ready, so I guess it's just a matter of when you're ready to do it. Maybe we could do a little Zoom and I can walk you through it. How about that?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely amazing.
I don't know how to use like a Zoom camera, but I have one because I would like to be able to zoom in on the hands, right? And not, you know, like this is us looking at each other, but I sort of thought today I'd be sitting here quilling as we were talking. That's what I was hoping we would do, but I mean, this is great, but that would be really helpful to do that, Linda, because it's nice to be able to see. You know, yeah, I would like to.
And it sort of replicates that process of people coming together and learning from each other, but using technology as a way of facilitating that in times that we can't really gather together. So I think that would be really cool, and I would really appreciate it. And I do love I love spending time with you too. So I'm in.
Likewise.
But in terms of other questions, like, you've talked a little bit about you call it simple. I call what you're doing like absolutely gorgeous and so powerful when the way you apply Quill Work to your work. Is there a direction that you want to go into? Is there something that you want to learn how to work with the quills that you haven't approached yet?
Yeah, like I've been doing just lines and I want to be able to fill. So I like with doing the lines, I'm pretty much just trying to focus on that the I guess my skill working with the quill and a little bit better. But yeah, I'd like to be able to fill, like, I mean, and what I mean by that is maybe making something, try to show a picture, so like something a little bit more elaborate, not something like this, but I mean, this kind of shows you, you know, like it's all filled in, not so much like that, but even something like this. I don't know what this is, but it has quill work, and then it's kind of like beadwork. You do the outline and then you fill it in. Same thing with this. I don't know if you can see this image very well. So like the outline is a quill technique as well. So I really like that. So what I've been doing on my own, because my quilling is a little bit raw, well, here, this is a better example. I have this little, wait, how do I do this? So the quill works in the middle, and then because it's like raw, like I said, I cover it up with the beads. So this is like another example. So sometimes people can't even, the quills are so subtle there, but like all this gappage that's there, I just use the beadwork. So I'm combining the beads with the quills, and I'm really into that right now. So that's like a project that I'm working on presently, to be revealed at a later date. Quills and beadwork combined, because I really like our history. I like acknowledging that. I'm a big part of that. And you know, like a lot of people who are beading these days don't even know that part, you know. They say beadworks are a traditional art form, and you know, art forms evolve and things change and morph, right? But I always just think like, beadwork, is it traditional? I think quill work is traditional, right? Because that's true. It's a true essence of Anishinaabe sort of making, right? So yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to point out one other thing, like a tool that is used. This is a moose ankle bone. So the ankle bone is used as a flattener. Like when you work with your quills, you use this to flatten them out. So pretty amazing. That moose.
Did you make that, or did you find that? Or?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
now whenever moose, I'll get the moose legs, and then you can make bone tools out of the shin of the moose, and then you can grab 2 ankle bones. And also you could use, this is like an antler, like a deer antler, so you could also use that. And I also have this. It's fancy.
Is that a?
It looks like it just looks like a butter knife, but just,
Oh, it's not. Sorry.
no, but it looks like it. I mean, you could just use the back of a butter knife. Actually, I probably spent $30 on this thing. I don't know what it is. It's just a crafted. It's called Craft Tool Pro, and I got it at Tandy Leather when I was in Santa Fe. And I just thought, oh, this has got a really nice curve on it. That's nice and sturdy. I don't know, something different. Yeah, and I'll show you guys one with, or actually before we time out of here, if there's any more questions before that, these are earrings made by Randy Nelson up in Whitehorse. And so what she's done is she's used resin and she's cut quills and she's made these little teeny tiny earrings.
Oh, those are, I have the same ones.
They're so
I love them so much.
Well, they're tiny. I don't wear earrings, but these are like, see how tiny they're? I just love these.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing what people are doing with quill work. And so that was a trade. So I started making earrings and went on like a earring trade frenzy with like anyone that I was inspired by that I saw. And this is a pair that I got from, her name is, I don't know her name. I can't remember her name, but her Instagram name is Water Wax Reed. So she used the beads and then the quills and then like this kind of brass button thingy, but I like her use of the quills there.
So the quills then are applied almost like a bead, so they're
exactly, yeah, like a bugle bead. It's like a cylinder, so it's just really sewn onto there, and they're like protected from the outer layer of the beads, right? So they're not gonna catch on anything. Yeah, really smartly.
That's kind of like the inverse of what you're applying your quill work first and then beading, whereas that might be beaded first and then infilled with quill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then I also have these earrings. So a local girl, Sheila Demara, she's from Fort William First Nation here. She gifted me and my sister a pair of earrings. They're beautiful. So again, she used them as fill. So I see a lot of people using quills in this way as like a cylinder. I have another pair of earrings somewhere here. Oh, I don't know where I put them, but anyway, sorry about that. Oh, and the other thing that I wanted to point out was when you're doing the quill work, you always cut I cut my tips off. So all my tips are in this jar. And then someone told me once you get a collection of them, you just put them in the fire and burn them because they're tips and they'll really hurt you if you get them in you. So you want to take very good care with those. Yeah.
Daggers. I keep
yeah, daggers.
I just put mine in a little scrap piece of hide so you can.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it as well, and cut it
in there, and then really just get it. Oh, this one, I've already put this one in water, so it's.
Yeah, if you have like an extra thick piece of moose hide, it works really well to stick it in there, and you just cut it as
Stick it in and trim it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put like the end. I'll just undo this, and then I put it so it's facing down and cut a couple
at a time. In there.
Yeah, and I'll spend like a morning getting all my tips ready. Like I like to have my quills all ready and not have too many sharps around. Like they're all in bags with the tips are already cut and ready to be worked with. So yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Just this is a giant quill from an African porcupine. So someone gave that to me. Yeah,
porcupines live on, there's porcupines from here, from North America. There's porcupines in South America, and they're really cute and funny looking because they don't have fur. They don't have as much fur because it's warmer. So they're just all really spiky quills. There's ones in Europe. Those ones, the ones here will be on the ground, but they also are in the trees a lot. The ones in Europe apparently mostly live on the ground all the time. So yeah, North America, Europe, South America, and Africa. The African porcupine is very, very large, as you can see from the very large quill.
Which are the kind that are those incredibly vocal ones that you see in all the adorable videos?
Oh,
I don't I don't know, they seem very vocal in these videos that you see on YouTube, and I'm like, I want that one.
and they're acting like puppies.
Kinda.
Yeah, they're really endearing little creatures. They go meow, meow, meow. And they love like ones that are being like kept domestically. They eat a lot of fruit, so they love like fruit and like pumpkin and all kinds of delicious treats. And they make really endearing noises. I think that they're an amazing creature because of this ability. I think that they can have a like their protection from their quills allows them to just have such a different way of being in the world than many other animals, right? Which is like they can be really slow, they have really poor eyesight, they yeah, can be like if they're being kept domestically, they can be really cuddly and like adapt to humans. And they have very, very few natural predators. It's really just our terrible roads that do the most harm, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, are there any final final thoughts? Yeah, okay, I think that's a, oh, does Julianne, do you have
Yeah.
any final thoughts?
I was wondering, Jean, if you could tell the little cute story of the porcupine that you saw this summer.
Oh, I saw two porcupines. I saw lots of porcupines this summer. I saw two that were unforgettable. There's up the road, there's a little hill there, and I was coming home and I was driving around the corner and I saw the smallest little porcupine, and there was a little like a daisy on the side of the road, and it was smelling the daisy. It was so cute. And it was very close to the edge of the road. So I kind of stopped and was like, oh, like go in the bush. And then the other time that I saw a porcupine, I was on my way to Sioux Lookout and I was supposed to leave a little earlier and I didn't. And a storm was coming, a rainstorm, a thunderstorm. So I got about maybe 20 minutes out of on my way out of Thunder Bay, and it was like torrential. It was like hailing, and I couldn't decide if I should keep going forward or not. And it was lightning and thunder, and I was just like, I don't know if I can handle this. This feels a little stressful. And I was going down the highway, and I looked out the window, and there was just this porcupine just hustling in the rain and the hail, and I was like, well, he's doing it. Here I am, all afraid in my car, and this porcupine is just right out there. Yeah. Yeah, those are my two little stories. But there is a longer story about the porcupine and how it got its quills, but we don't have time for that today, so another day.
Okay, we'll save that one for another day.
Yeah.
Chimigwech and Ishik for sharing your stories and for being like you said, like it can be hard when you're prefer to make things and share that way, to switch to speaking mode. So we really thank you for doing that today. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We've got this little series I put together on Friday is our last talk with Danny Whitehawk. That'll be from 12 until 1. And yeah, so you can join us again on Friday, tell your friends. And again, thanks everyone for coming.
Yes, thank you very much. It was very
Okay.
fun. Thanks a lot, Vanessa and Lois, and all the participants. Appreciate it. Pamapi, Mino Guabaman.
Lapach Canal.